Okay, so we began yesterday the parak of Ben Soru Morer. Again, so far we haven't really touched upon what a Ben Soru Morer is. We just dancing around a limud from the word Ben. So Rav Chisda had a din. He said that only an ish can have a son that's a Ben Soru Morer, but a ben cannot have a ben that's a Ben Soru Morer. In other words, if a cotton has a child, that child cannot be a Ben Soru Morer. The chesaron is not in the child, the chesaron is in the father. But clearly from a chista, a cotton would be able to father a child. Guys, this is the whole sugya now. Clearly a cotton would be able to father a child according to Rav Chisda. Good? So now on that the Gemara comments, right? Upligi de Rabba. We're on Kuf, we're on Samich Chesam Beis, 3 lines up. Upligi the Rabba. Rav Chisda, who says that a cotton can father a child, argues on Rabba. The Amar Rabba, a cotton cannot father a child. Right? Where do you see that? Shenemar, im ein leish goyel. Now, guys, we know there's a parsha of Asham Gezelos, that if a person goes ahead, is accused of having something, he says, I don't have your Aveda, you never gave it to me to watch, and then he swears to that fact. And after he swears to that fact, what? He admits it. So he has to bring an Asham Gezelis, pay a Keren, and a Chaimish, right? If there is no one to pay it to, because the guy died, then he gives it to the Yarshim. What about if Goyal does not have anybody? What happens if it doesn't have anybody? Now, it's not possible in Klal Yisrael that you don't have a cousin or somebody, right? So the only person you can't have is a ger. A ger would not have what? And then that goes to the Kohen. So says the Gemara. That's the background to this pasuk. If he doesn't have anyone, what are we speaking about? Where a person stole from a ger made a claim, he swore falsely, and now he has to pay the piper. However, the ger died. Ish atetzarach lachsar alav im yesh lagoylim. The imlav. Cotton iatetzarach lachsar alav biyadua shein lagoylim. In other words, in checking out to see if there's anyone you could repay, is only if it's an ish, only if it's a man. So in other words, if you have a ger and he was Megayer, then you check and see if he has any family. Good. If he is a cotton, however, that person, you don't have to check. You know why? Because a cotton can't have a family. So you have a raya that Rabba holds a cotton ain't a mylid. It's unnecessary to check because biyadua, you could be sure she'ain lagoylin. That's Rabbi's raya. So you have machloikis again. Like Rav Chisda, if a cotton has a child, that child cannot be a Mesorah Morer. Clearly, Rav Chisda holds that a cotton could be Moilid, could go ahead and father a child. On Rabba, on the other hand, he goes ahead, he has a pasuk that tells me that what? That a cotton cannot father a child, because when it comes to the pasha of Gezla Ger, you don't have, only a Ger is an Ish, you have to check, but not if it's a cotton. Eisve Abaya, Ish, Ein Leil Ish, Ben Tesh Shanav Yamechad, Sharoi Lebiya Minayin. Only if it's an ish. How do you know that this is the pasuk Gezla Ger? How do you know that what? That it's only if he's an ish? How do you know? Let's say he's 9 years in a day. Sharoy Labia minayin, that l'chayri is in the parsha. Tamalayma v'ish. So the chayri v'ish. So what do you see, fellas? That someone you have a limit for a child. Now, if you're 9 in a day, are you a cotton? Absolutely, you're a cotton. Your bia is a bia, right? So therefore, this is in the parsha of Shifra Charufa. I said Gezal Ger, I'm incorrect. I said corrected. It's the parsha of Shifra Charufa. A Shifra Charufa is a girl, she's Chatzi Evet, Chatzi Baschairin, and she's engaged to an Evet Ivri. If someone's with her, so he gets Malkus. He gets Malkus. Has to bring a carbon called Asham Shifra Charufa. That's one of the 5 Ashamais. So this is the parsha of Shifra Charufa. So how do you know that if the boil is not a full-fledged ish, but v'ish, he's 9 and a day? How do you know that the parsha applies? How do you know the parsha applies? Tamad lomar v'ish. Now, so l'chayr you see that 9 and a day. Ostensibly, if his bia is a bia, we're assuming that he could father a child. Okay, he could father a child. So amalei yeshloi einachinami. He does have zera. He does have, because it says in the parsha of Shifra Charufa, guys, it says, it doesn't say anything over here. It says that the ish ki yishkav es isha shechva zera. It says the ish ki yishkav shechva zera. It says in the parsha, and therefore what? So he does have zera. However, that zera veina mailid. That zera is incapable of fertilizing. The ish. The vav includes him in the parsha. You have a vav to include him in the parsha. So I'm yeshla yeshla. He has zera. Veina mailid. Kitfua shaloi heviu shlish dami. Like tfua that does not bring a shlish. In other words, if you have tfua that didn't grow a third of its growth, and you took that germ and germinate, you took the seed, it would not germinate. It wouldn't work. Okay. So just like a seed less than a third growth does not germinate, so too the zera of a 9-year-old in a day, what cannot go in the father of a child. So therefore, you don't have no kasher on me. Now, just a slight point, fellas. What does this mean that he's in the parsha Shifra Charufa? He's a cotton. He's a cotton. No, he's a cotton, right? So no, you have a 9-year-old who's a bia is a bia. If he's with a Shifra Charufa, she's a shtickle and ish. She's engaged to an Eved Ivri, but she's not a full-fledged ish because she's what? Chatzi Shifra. So what do you mean he's in the parsha? So this machloeks, the Rambam says, guys, he's mamish in the parsha. Yeah, he's chayiv. The Rambam says he's mamish chayiv. This would be this not an ish. You'd be chayiv to get malchus after being a carbon. In other words, he would be. There's no misa by this.
Yeah, no, but how about with the real ish? If she's in the parsha for this,
no, real ish is not. She gets killed. She gets killed because Habia is a bia, but he doesn't. That's the way other Rishonim learned that what. That when he says he's in the parsha, that she would get punished. He's in the parsha vis-a-vis. He's a cotton, so nothing happens to him. But okay, this is a side point. But the bottom line is, cotton ain't a moilid. Okay, so Rabbi, here's again for those people who just came in. We have machloikis. Rav Chisda says that a cotton can father a child, and Rabbi says a cotton cannot father a child. We attacked Rabbi from what we proved Rava. We proved Rava from Hashem Gezelos. We attacked Rava from Shifra Charufa, and Rava held serve by saying that it's true that even in the parsha of Shifra Charufa it says V'ish ki yishkav es isha shichva zera, but that shichva zera is incapable of being moilid. Another source that it's not capable of being moilid. The Bechizkiya Tana from here. Now the pasuk says this is by murder. V'chi yazid ish al reyehu. If a man yazid, he acts b'mezid on his friend, laharga to kill him, ba'arma, me'imiz b'chi tikachen olamas. V'chi yazid ish mezid umasriya, ve'in kasid mezid umasriya. They medayik guys the lashon of mezid. Mezid is lashon of cooking. So when we're saying over here, cooking here means that this zera has the capability of fertilizing. That's what it means. That it cooks, right? Where do you see it's a lashon of bishul? Cooking over here means the capacity to go ahead and fertilize. It says when Yaakov is making lentils, right? When Esav came from the field, and Pashas told us. Okay. So now, the Hatani de Rabbi Yishmael, the Yeshiv Rabbi Yishmael, Ben Veloy Av. Only a ben and not a father. Meaning that a father can't be a ben Sora Mora if he has a son. So guys, here's we have to fit it in. Guys, light Rabbah that a cotton can't be moilid, Rabbis and Amoira, and here you have Rabbi Yishmael saying, and from Rabbi Yishmael saying it, it's obvious that the cotton must be able to be moilid, or else why would you need a limud to teach me if a man has a son, that man can't be a ben Sora Mora? How's it possible, fellas, for that man to not be a cotton and have a son? So obviously it's problematic according to Rabbah. Obviously that what if that man has a son, that man must have fathered the son, and you're telling me that man can't be what? A ben Sora Mora, the father. Good, says the Gemara. The Hatanid Rabbi Shmuel ben V'lei Av Heikidami. What are you speaking about over here? If you're telling me he fathered the child after he brought shtei saros, meaning guys, after he's a gadol, The oilid mikame delekif sakan. We said yesterday in the Mishnah, guys, the whole parsha of what? Of Ben Soromora is from Shtei Sarais till the area is sakan, the lower area is full of hair. Now, what do you tell me? That's not 9 months. Mi ika shois kuli hai. It's not possible. It's not possible that, again, you're telling me, Rabbi, in order to have a child, you have to be what? You have to be an adult. What's an adult? We'll call 2 years and a day. Excuse me, 2 years and a day. Well, 2 years. You have to stay Soros. Good? Stay Soros. Now, stay Soros and 13. So that's a gadol. So what are you telling me now? Here's my limud. He went ahead. He fought. He was with a woman at that time. He's capable. According to the whole world, he's capable of fathering a child. And now he is still in the window of what? Of Ben Soru Morer, until it was the lashon of the Mishnah was at Sheyakov as Khan. Good? That's not 9 months, guys. It's not 9 months. Says the Gemara, Mi Ika Shois Kuli Hai. Is there such a long period of time to be in Soru Morer? Listen to this, fellas. Why there never was a Ben Soru Morer. V'Amar Rav Kruspadoi, Kol Yomav Shel Ben Soru Morer, Eina Ella Gimel Chadashim. The whole window for Ben Soru Mora is 3 months. So, fellas, if he fathered a child, if he impregnated the woman when he was the two starois, you can't be 9 months later. The most that can be is 3 months, and there's no child that's 3 months old. I mean, that's born after 3 months, either 7 or 9, right? So, in other words, Rabbi Shmuel has a limud, fellas. What's Rabbi Shmuel's limud? A father can't be a Ben Soru Morer. Now, it must be that the father fits in the window of Ben Soru Morer, which is from Shtei Sarais till what? Till Sakan, which is, okay, or 3 months. Elalavd must be the Aber Mikame de Leshi Shtei Sarais. He must have gone ahead what? And fathered the child when? Before he bought Shtei Sarais. Guys, so if he's fathering the child before he bought Shtei Sarais, what is he? He's a cotton. It's a raya keneged rabba that a cotton could be miled. Geshmakaraya, guys. It must be that what? That is capable of being miled. For oilid mikame delakiv sakan. And when was this child born? In that window before this father that his sakan was surrounded by hair. So l'chayre, that's the kasha on rabba. Ushmamina cotton miled. Shmamina cotton miled. Okay, so Rabbi l'chayre is in a pickle. What?
Everybody holds up.
Rabbi Krishna is a Tana. He's a Tana. Rabbi can't argue with him. He's a Tana. Okay, so now. Loi. La'olam de aber basa da aishish te sharais. He taka fathered the child when? Right? After they brought te sharais. Why? Because the cotton can't be miled. V'oilid basa da akiv sakan. And it was born what? After Akiv Sakan. Obviously, it has to be, right? It has to be because it's 9 months later. And Uda Kasha de Rebbe Chris Bedoy, and your Kasha is Rebbe Chris Bedoy, your window is on 3 months. Kiyasa Rav Dimi came along and explained. Amri b'marav, they said in Israel, Ben v'loy haroy likroisay av. It doesn't mean you had to be a father mamish, fellas. You had to be roy to be called a daddy. So listen to this. Rashi says, when your wife was pregnant, and at 3 months it was recognizable the pregnancy, tipishayna tata. You hear? In other words, you didn't have to be born. You just had to know that the bistatata, your father, you see the pregnancy. Pregnancy is recognizable at 3 months. That's the window of Ben Soru Morer. But you can't be a Ben Soru Morer. Why? Because your father. And that's the limud Ben v'loy ba'av. A son, but not a father of a son. How could you have a father of a son? And how could Rabbi avoid that the father was not a cotton? Because he only was impregnated when he was Shtei Sarais, when he was a gadol. You were born before 3 months? No, again, before B'kav Khan. Okay, that is 3 months. What's the answer? You don't need the child being born. All you need is to recognize you're a father. You recognize you're a father, you're good. Okay. Look right. Let's do Rashi right before it gets wide, guys. Go up 3 lines. V'hachi kamar. Ben v'lo yeroy liyos av. V'hainu lacha gimel chadashim. Acha shehevi shtei sarois. After he bought shtei sarois, sheroy liyos uber nikar. It's right for the uber to be recognizable. Im hoya ba'ala isha. Mishehevi shtei sarois v'misaberes. And she, right? And then therefore what? You're going to be what? You're going to be a daddy. Okay, so right now, Rabbi has held serve. We have machloikis. I don't understand the machloikis in mitzias, guys. L'chayr, it's machloikis in mitzias. Whether a cotton could be moiled or not being moiled, right? That's l'chayr, it's machloikis in mitzias. But anyway, be that as it may, we have Peshat in the Gemara. Now, we're going back now to analyze Rav Krus Bedoy. We brought him in as a kasha. Now we're going to analyze it in itself. Now, guys, what is it? Is it 3 months? Or is it Hek of Sakan? Our Mishnah said Hek of Sakan. Hek of Sakan means like the area, the pubic area, there's more than 2 hairs that it's surrounded with, okay? Let's see. Says the Gufa, Amrav Kris Bedoy, Amrav Shapsi, Kol Yomov Shel Ben Soiru Moirer. Okay, now it can't be the same, I'll tell you why. They wouldn't have gone ahead and given such a vague shot. I saw this I saw this. The easiest way out is it's the same Zman. Why, if it is the same Zman, why would the Mishnah give a cryptic time of what? Of the area being surrounded with hair? It would have said 3 months. In other words, that's pretty much clear. It's a given. So if it would be the same, it can't be the same. Because if it would be the same, they would have said 3 months. They wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't have been so cryptic. Says the Gemara. Gufa, Amrav Kuskroy, Amrav Shapsi, Kol Yom Shaben Sormara Eino Ela Gimel Chadashim Uvad. Fred the Gemara, Vanan Tanan, Mishiyav Ishtei Sarois, Vachi Yaakov Zakan. Hikiv's so L'chayra, it's not 3 months, it's Hikiv's Kan. Says the Gemara, Hikiv's Zakan, Afagav Loi Moli Gimel Chadashim, Moli Gimel Chadashim, Afagav Loi Hikiv. Okay, Hikiv is the earlier time, guys. Hikiv, in other words, Hikiv is the earlier time. So in other words, the window would be from Shtei Sarois until Hikif, or if Loi Hikif, Shtei Sarois and what, or Gimel Chadashim. So the whole window, the maximum time for Ben Sorah Mora, guys, is 3 months. That you might know is Ben Sorah Mora. The whole window that you have to be a Ben Sorah Mora, guys, is 3 months. That's it. That's your whole window. That's it. Okay, Geshmak? So right now, guys, we held serve, right? Rabbi held serve. According to Rabbi, a cotton is not moiled. According to Rav Chisda, a cotton is moiled. Yosef Rav Yaakov Minar Pocket, that's the name of a place. Kamei de Ravina. Yosef Vikama Mishmei de Rav Huna Rav Yeshua. And he, Rav Yaakov from Nar Pocket, was saying to Ravina in the name of Rav Huna Rav Yeshua. Names are important. Shmami Namid Rav Kris Bedoy. We hear from Rav Kris Bedoy. Rav Shapsi. Yoledis L'Shiva Ein Uber Nikra L'Shlishi Yamecha. So, guys, we know that Minat Torah that there's 2 pregnancies. There's a 7th-month pregnancy and there's a 9-month pregnancy. It used to be that an 8th-month pregnancy, the child would die in the 8th month. And they were wondering, because the 7 really was a complete child, and 8 was a premature 9. Now, they're amazing what they can do with prenatal care. But in those old days, the 8 month would die. 7 would live. Okay, now, 3 months is a third of what? Of a 7th-month pregnancy would be at 2 and a third. It would be 2 1/3 months, right? So we want to make a diak that even by a 7th-month pregnancy, it's also 3 months. It's not a ratio. It's a given of 3 months of being hooker, right? That's what the Gemara is going to say right now. Shema min Rav Kris Bedoy, Rav Shapsi, Yoledis L'Shiva, Ein Uber Nikra L'Shlish Yamecha. The Uber is not recognizable at a third, which would be 2 1/3. The Isaf Gedaydach Uber Nikra L'Shlish Yamecha, Lamali Gimel. Why would you need 3 months? Betray Vitil Sasagya. Your 2/3 would be 2/3 would be enough. In other words, fellas, if Rabbi Kris Bedoy is going after ratios, the whole window for a Ben Sorah Morer would be from Shtei Sarois till 2 1/3. Guys, right? Here, listen. Eye contact. When Rabbi Kris Bedoy said 3 months, he's l'chayru saying any pregnancy is 3 months. Because if he was saying a third, no, it's 3 months is a third of 9. If he was saying a third, then you would have even a smaller window for Ben Sora Mora. It would only be up to two and a third months, not up to 3 months. Good, that's what he's saying. So I'm a.
This would have said a third of the pregnancy.
Well, again, you could say usually when you go after pregnancy, you could type it that way.
7-month pregnancy, it's noticeable at 2 1/3.
But no, I'm saying that he's saying we're not saying that. We're saying not. We're saying 3 months. Saying 3 months. Now, Amalei Ravina says you're giving a number if you don't recognize it. You have women who don't recognize after 3 months, fellas. You're giving an arbitrary number. So 2 1/3, it doesn't make a difference. And if you go after thirds, that's going to be the number, right? So now, Amalei Ravina said he didn't agree. I would say you do go after 2 1/3, but now you know why you don't go after why Reb Christmas Day said 3 months. Zil basaruba, you go after most women. Most women have 9 months pregnancies, and most women are recognizable after 3 months. So in other words, that diak that you're making in Reb Christmas Day is not a good diak. Don't make it. It could be a nachinami that 2 1/3 it would be, but you know what? You're going after Rav. So Amru Kamed Rav Huna Brei Yeshua. So again, this conversation was taking place between Rav Yaakov in Har Pakid and Ravina, and now it was. And Ravina told that no, it could be in a shlish. The Tana could have meant a shlish, but the reason we go after 3 months is because why we go after Rav. Good. So now, hearing this, Amru they said in front of Rav Yehuda Brei Yeshua, Amalei ubedinin nefashos mi azlin and basaruba. Dinei nefashos, do you go after Roiv? HaTorah Amra v'shaftu Eida v'yitzilu Eida. We know by Dinei nefashos, fellas, we want to be as makel as possible. If you have a choice of Ben Sora Mora that his whole window is 2 1/3, or a third, which is a kula, 2 1/3, 2 1/3. So Rav Huna Yeshua said, 1 second, you're telling me that you don't go after Roiv, you go after Roiv and make it 3? Your Roiv Ravina is going to cause a chumrah. Because why? He's accountable up to 3 months. But if you wouldn't go after Roiv, then he would get off the hook at 2 1/3. And why would you do that? The shaftu eida v'tzilo eida. We want to be mat mekel. V'at amid zil basaruba, and you say go after Roiv women, you're going to be machmer. So this is what Rav Huna Brei Yeshua said on Ravina's comment. Adrua kamed Ravina. They came back to Ravina and told him what Rav Huna Brei Yeshua said. Amalei Ravina said, Ubedinin nefashos lo yazlina basaruba. Bedinin nefashos, you don't go after Rav. I'll show you do go after Rav. Where do you see you go after Rav? Tanan. We said this earlier, guys. Outside, we have Eidis. They're checking into the Eidim. One guy says it was on the 2nd day of the month. One guy says in the 3rd day of the month. Harikan, you have 2 Eidis Shnayim, right? Why? Because you're going to go after Rav of the world. The Rav of the world makes mistakes when it comes to what? The calendar. If it was a chaser, it's going to be day 3. If it was a malay, it's going to be day 2, right? So depending upon what the previous month was, so therefore, now if you don't go after Roiv, then it's Eidus Mucheshes. So Ravina is disproving Rav Huna Brei Yeshua. So he says, beautiful. Nan, we saw this earlier in the Masechta. One of the Eidim says b'chodesh for the 2nd day of the month. Gimel Eidus and Kayemes. We don't say it's Eidus Mucheshes. We say the Eidus what is intact. This one knows about what? About that it was made Rosh Chodesh, and it was Mubar. It was a Malay. And this one did not know it. If you don't go after Roiv that they make mistakes, say these guys are dafka, and they're makish each other. They're going at what? And they're being makish each other. So Elolav Mishun Darinon, Zil Basaruba, Veruba de Enshi, of the Toya Bibur de Yarcha. So we have a conversation between Rav Yehuda and Rav Yeshua, who says not to go after Roiv, and we have Ravina saying you go after Roiv, and proving it what from Eidus Dinei Nefashos that we're not makish them because we go after Roiv, and Roiv people make mistakes. I'm Rav Yifti Medifti Afananami Tanina that you go after Roiv. By Dinei Nefashos, you go after Roiv. We did this not too long ago. So guys, we're discussing now a girl, at which age is her bia? Which age is her bia? I'm going to give the nafkaminas in halacha throughout. Bas shalosh shana v'yom echad, miskadeshes bebia. Bas shalosh shana v'yom echad, she's mikudeshes bebia. She's Mekudeshes B'Bia. If the father gives her away, it's beating the Sati Lish Hazeh, and he doesn't give Kesef or Shtar, and he's Mekadesh, not Mekadesh, he gives Kesef, but he's not Mekadesh Kesef, then the Bia is a Bia, and she's an Eshes. Then Bo Aleha Yavam, and again, we know that Yibam, the only way to acquire Yavam is Bia. That works. Kana. This is what we need, guys. And any man that's with her, he's dead. She's a katana, doesn't make a difference. Why? Because the Bia is a Bia, and therefore she's kind of Shneshesish. And she will be Matama, someone who's boil her, if she's a Nida, that he's a Matama, he's Matama boil Nida, and that means that whatever he lies upon, even 10 mattresses, will be Tameh. Be only Tameh 11 over Rishon, Baruch, not enough. That's enough. I'm into this, so Meduik the Lashon. Okay?
Tameh all the way down, but every Rishon.
But a Rishon, right. So you can be Tam Adam Eichel Mashke, you can be Tam Adam V'Kelim. Good. Nisis L'Kayein, Eichelis B'Truma. If she marries, if she's a Bas Yisrael, and she eats by a kohen, one of the psulim goes ahead, passes on the kahuna. In other words, let's say she's her husband's a mamzer or in the sin, and that would passel her. So she would, let's say she gets divorced, or her husband dies, and now she's what, an almana, can marry a kohen gadol, marry a kohen, not a kohen gadol, but she would be a zayna. Okay, because it's part of psul. Any of the arayas that says in the Torah lives with her, mumsim aleha, they'll die. Okay, he patur and she's pata. Amid base. Okay, along with it, brisa. And why do we want to bring from this brisa, guys? A raya that what? That by roiv, that by din and nefashis, you go after roiv. Why by ashes ish? Why by ashes ish do we say that a person's with her is chayiv misa? Ema island is he, v'adaiti dehachi like kaddish. Fellas, if it turns out to be an islandess is a woman who has characteristics of a man. She doesn't have dadim, she has a voice, but that's something you only will know later on. And we say that's kedushay tois. So roiv of the world are normal. Mir are an islandess. So l'chari you see over here when she's an Ashes Ish, she'll kill, is a raya, you go after roiv. You're going after most of the world. You're going after most of the world, and you're saying she's not an islandess. Says the Gemara, "Elolav damina and zilbasa ruba v'roiv nashim lav islandess ninu." And most women are not islandess. Says Malay, "My chayiv aleha diktani carbon enachinami." You don't go after roiv. Maybe you chayiv as a carbon, right? It's speaking b'shaygeg, and you go right that you go after roiv, but you wouldn't go ahead and kill the person. In other words, if a person's with, she's an Eshes Ish. If a person's with her, b'shoygeg, he'll bring a carbon. But he will not get killed if he did it b'mezid. Why? Because you don't go after roiv. And maybe the possibility exists that she's an islandess. That's the Fred the Gemara of mumsin al yada katani. The Chayyim said in the Brisa, she kills somebody. So how can you tell me you chayiv a carbon? It says if you're with her, you will die. On that, the Gemara says, you know what it's speaking about? It's speaking about a father or any of the arayos who would be with her, which has nothing to do with kedushin. Fellas, in the parsha of arayos, there's two types of arayos. There's the blood relative, that's called kurva, and then there's the she'er, that comes about as a result of marriage. Achas ishtoi, that's a result of marriage, right? Eshasav. But Eshasav might be kurva. But no, Eshasav no marriage. But l'chayra, her father, her brother, that has nothing to do with marriage, right? Then, in other words, so therefore, it's not a kasha. It's not a kasha. When he says that the one will die, you know, he's speaking is going to die. It's somebody. It's not contingent upon marriage. If it's not contingent upon marriage, then therefore it's not a problem. It's nothing to do with roif. Fred the Gemara, it said any of the royas, not just what the blood relative. It said Ella Hachamay might be speaking the kibla lave. It's speaking where what she was makabel that even if she's an islandess, he won't divorce her. In other words, you have no raya from over here that you're going after roif. Guys, let's go through it. the whole raya that you're going after Roiv is that what? Since Roiva, the woman in the world, are not islandess, this girl will kill a man. She's an Eishes Ish. But if you don't go after Roiv, then she can't kill. Says the Gemara, it's speaking where, says the Gemara, it's not speaking about Eishes Ish, it's speaking about the father. Says the Gemara, that's a bit teretz, because in the bottom line it says any erva. So the Gemara concludes that you have no clear-cut raya. It could be speaking where her husband accepted the miyat. He accepted perhaps she might be an islandess. If she perhaps is an islandess, then there's no way out. He's getting killed memanavshach. If you go after Roiv, most women are normal. If you go after miyat, he accepted the miyat, but you have no raya. That's what the Gemara wants to disprove from here. Tarabanan. Hamusuleles b'bina kotin. A woman is musuleles. Rashi says lashon pritzis. She's in a situation, not such a nice position with her son. V'araba, and her son was the cotton is guilty of hara. Hara is again machloikus, whether it's just touching the shikas aver or chlas latara. V'araba beishama yomim pasla min kahuna. She's pasla from the kahuna. She would become she would be pasla from the kahuna, and ubesil machshirin. Besil says no, she wouldn't be she would not be a zaina, and she would pasla from the kahuna. In other words, with a son l'chayr is an issa, that summons asataha, that makes you a pasal the kahuna. And in this case, what? So machlokes beisham and Vesila. Rav Chia berei the Rabbi Nachmani Amar Rav Chista v'imri lo Rav Chista Amri Ziri Hakol Moida beben Tisha Shana v'Yem. If the son is 9 in a day, shall be yasei bia, and what? And she'll be pasal from the kahuna. And not only that, l'chayr she should be dead, right? Guys, if it's a bia, it's a bia. So Rashi says benad asra. There's no asra. Good. Why are we only discussing pasal kahuna? Why don't we discuss a bigger shaila? She should be dead. She was mizana with she had hara with a son. So Rashi says there's no asra. Pachas mi ben shmaina, less than 8. She'ein bia say bia. Everyone loy nechlu. There's no machlokes. No loy nechlu. No, excuse me. She'ein bia say bia. Excuse me. Loy nechlu ela ben shmaina. They only argue about ben shmaina. Like nechlu ela ben shmaina. The beishamei savri garminan midaras rishayim, ubesil savri loy garminan midaras rishayim. In other words, it seems to be that a child of 8 in the previous generations, the bia was the bia, and Beis Shammai learns from the previous generations, whereas Beis Hillel says you don't learn from previous generations. The rest of the daf is going to be to prove that a child of 8 can father a child. That's the rest of the daf is going to be that, okay? Says the Gemara. V'daras Rishonim nolan the oilid. Where do you know from Daras Rishonim? Okay, the first one, guys, outside. A little background over here. A lot of background actually. Says the Gemara in Shabbos Ruya Batsheva Bas Aliyeh LeDavid Mishesh Shmei Breishis. David's Bashert from the beginning of time was Batsheva. David's Basher from the beginning of time was Batsheva. David is guilty of something, which if I have time, I'm going to go through with you, but I'll make it quick. David kills Goliath. Goliath had a sword, and David David only had a slingshot. David wanted to cut off Goliath's head. He could not get the sword out of the scabbard. Goliath had Caleb had a weapons carrier. David said to the weapons carrier, get the sword out, help me get the sword out, a special switch, I'll give you anything you want. So this person said, even a Bas Yisrael? And David said, yes. So this person went ahead, told him what to do, he took it out and cut off the head. Says the Medrash, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you're going to give this guy, a Bas Yisrael? He's going to get your wife. Uriah Hachiti, guys. Uriah was a convert. He was from Ches. He was the weapons carrier. Uriah was the weapons carrier. And that's how David's wife, even though she was Bashed from David, from Sheish Mebreshis, ended up in the hands of another man. That's what happened. Crazy myself. Okay, we know what happens. David goes ahead. Uriah goes to war. Machloikis, Rashi, and Tosfos. Rashi says that anyone into war would give a get. The get was on conditional that your husband didn't show up. Uriah never showed up, so l'chayr David's squeaky clean, for a second. According to Tosfos, they divorced outright. Okay. David has a son, Avshalom. Avshalom, he had a daughter, Tamar, and a son, Amnon. We met earlier that Amnon was Ma'anis Tamar, and Avshalom goes ahead and kills Amnon. He runs away to his grandfather, Talmai, who was the Melech Geshur, because Avshalom's mother was a Eshes Yifas Toyar that David had captured in battle. And he's there. David's missing him very, very much. And Yoav sees he's missing him very much. He hires a woman from the Koyat to play out a thing, and they're reunited together. They're reunited together. Then Avshalom rebels, and the rebellion, the person behind the rebellion was someone named Achitophel. Achitophel had a son, Eliam. Eliam had a daughter, Bathsheba. Achitophel was Bathsheba's father-in-law. He held David from being over on Neshes Ish. He held David was over by taking Bathsheba, and he joins the rebellion. Avshalom asked advice from him and from Hushai. The Navi tells us asking advice from Achitophel is like asking the Urim V'Tumim. Avshalom listens to who? Avshalom listens to Hushai. He does not listen to Achitophel. Achitophel sees it as a simon that he voted for the wrong guy. He goes home, he commands his house what to do, and he kills himself. He hangs himself at the age of 33. 33 years old. So let's get this straight. Achitophel has a son, Eliam, who has the daughter Bathsheba, who has a son, Shlomo. So Achitophel was Shlomo's great-grandfather. Achitophel was his great-grandfather. So we're going to figure out that if he died at the age of 33, right? He must have between those 26 years there were 3 pregnancies, and that's how we're going to get 8, 8, and 8. We're going to see how it works out. That's your cheshbon, okay? And then we're going to, now that you understand it, we're going to do away with it. But that's the cheshbon. Let's see what we got, guys. Okay. So, first wide line. It says what? Haloizois Bathsheba Basaliem. Haloizois, this is Bathsheba Basaliem. Eishes Uriah Achiti. Ukasiv, and it says, right? Iksiv, in addition, it says Eliam. I said Eliam. Uksiv Eliam ben Achitophel Agiloni. Ukasiv Vayishlach biyad Nasan Anavi. Vayikra Shemo Yedidya, and Shlomo was called Yedidya Bavor Hashem. Because Vayihi Lishanasayim Yamav. We're going to prove that he died at 20. When Shlomo was born, he was 26 years old. Uksiv Vayihi Lishanasayim Yamim. Vayigoizim LaShalom. Ukasiv Vavshalom Borach Vayelech Geshura. So we have 2 years from the birth of Shlomo. And then Avshalom runs Vayelech Geshura. Vayisham Shleish Hashanim, he killed Amnon, so he ran away for 3 years. That's 5 years. Ukasiv Vayeshev Avshalom b'Yushalayim, and Avshalom. I don't hope reading looking correctly. Let me make sure. Ukasiv Avshalom Barach Vayelech Agashur Vayisham Shleish Hashanim. That's 5 years. Ukasiv Vayeshev Avshalom b'Yushalayim Shnasayim Yamim Upnei HaMelech Le'ro. So guys, so Yoav got him to bring it back. But David was still so angry at Avshalom for killing his other son Amnon, he didn't see him for 2 years. So you have 2 years, 3 years, and 2 years. That's a total of 7 years. So we know that the 7 years from what? Achitophel, his age for Shlomo, because he's still alive now, because Avshalom didn't rebel yet. Then it says, Vayhi miketz abayim shana. It's 40 years that what? Of the minion of the Malchus. But from 40 years from Yisrael asked for a king. Vayom Avshalom el HaMelech Elchana v'Yashalim Esnidri Asher Nedarto Hashem b'Chevron. This is the beginning of his rebellion. Let me go to Chevron to go ahead and fulfill the neder that I made. There was the Gezunta sheep there to bring. Ukasiv, by the rebellion. Achitophel Ra'ah. Achitophel saw that they didn't take his advice. Cholinesa Atzasai. Avshalom didn't listen. He listened to Hushai and not to him. Vayachbash es Chamar. He saddled up his donkey. Vayakam Vayelech El Beisai El Iroi. He went home. V'yitzav el beisai, he commanded his house what to do. Vayechonek, and he hung himself. Ukasiv, Anshe Domim Umirma Yechsu Yemeim. David writes, Anshe Domim Umirma, that they shouldn't have half their days. Vitanya, Kol Shnoisa Shal Doyeg, Eina Ela Shleishim V'arba. Doyeg lived for 34 years. V'Shal Achitophel Eina Ela Shleishim V'Shalish was 33 years. Now, we're going to have the Cheshbon. Kama Havile, his whole was Tilsim V'Tilsim. He was 33 years old. Dal, take out those 30 years. Sheva Shanim. You have that 7 years. From Shlomo was born, guys, to 7 years. 232, right? As we made the Cheshbon. Sheva Shanim, the Havi Shlomo. Pashulei, from 33 minus 7, you have Esrim B'Sheish. You have what? You have 26. You have 26. From the 26, Dal, Tarte Shnei L'Tilsi Ibure. You needed 2 pregnancies. The Leda of Eliam and Batsheva. So let's say it was a 7th month pregnancy. Take into account what? A month for Nida. So you have you take into account from 26. You're gonna deduct 2 years. You're gonna deduct 2 years for 3 pregnancies, right? You have 3 pregnancies, so 8, 8, and 8. Right? Yeah. So you're gonna deduct for the 3 pregnancies. You're gonna have 20. So 26 minus 22, 24 is this 2 years. Ishtakach the chol chad v'chad achitofel aliyam and Batsheva betamnei oilet. They gave birth at the 8 guys, right? You have 3 pregnancies over here. You have Achitofel having Aliyam having Batsheva, and Batsheva having Shlomo. Guys, good. So and 8 you get from 7-month pregnancy, and perhaps the month for Nida. So it gives you what? So what do you see? That's Uriah. Guys, one more time, quickly, very quickly. All you have to know is the following: that Achitofel died at what? 33, and he was born. He was 26 when Shlomo was born. Okay, so that gives you 26. 7 and minus 33. Then you figure 3 pregnancies. 8, 8, and 8. That's 24. So 26 minus 24 is 2 years. So you add to that must have been that each one was an 8-month pregnancy. So very good. Says the Gemara, no. Memai dilma travayu. Maybe Achitofel and Aliyam betishoilid. Maybe it was a 9-month pregnancy. Maybe there was a 9-month pregnancy. Ubatsheva elida b'sheish, and Batsheva she gave birth at 6. In other words, you meant 8, 8, and 8. I can do the math. I can make it 9, 9, and 6. I can make it 9, 9, and 6. Mishum de Isisa Barya, because she was very healthy. The Isisa Barya, because women are very healthy, and Batsheva was very healthy, and therefore she can give birth earlier than 8. So l'chayr you have no raya, because that she gave birth earlier is because of her health. But a regular person, it would be only from years 9, not at 8 years, but 9 years. Okay. Says the Gemara. Teda. An isha can be moiled earlier than a man. The Havi law Vlad Meikara. Guys, Batsheva was not pregnant, was pregnant. Shlomo was the 2nd pregnancy from David. She got pregnant the first time. That baby died. Right. She was pregnant the first time. Your father would love this. That baby died. So you see that raya that she was younger. And now, even if you can make the cheshbon 8, 8, and 8, she was younger. Guys, even if you make the cheshbon 8, 8, and 8, it's not her first pregnancy. It was younger, so mameli you have no raya. Okay, if I have time, I want to get back to this. There's a wonderful Merkeves HaMishnah that I sent out on this. I think it's Peloploim. I wanted to go through it. It's wondrous. It's wondrous. Okay, we'll see if we have time. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Ella, you need a makar for what? You need a makar for an 8. You can give birth at 8 years old. Ella from David, from Avram Avinu. Ella mihacha. Ella told us terach es Avram es Nachar es Haran. So you have 3 children: Avram, Nachar, and Haran. And the feeling is, if Avram is mentioned first, Avram must be what? The oldest, right? Avram gadol mi Nachar shana. Avram is a year older than Nachar, and v'Nachar gadol mi Haran shana. So Nimsa Avram Gadol Shtei Shana Miharan. That Avram was what? 2 years older than Haran. Uksiv Vayikach Avram v'Nachal Hem Nashim. They got married. Shem Eshes Avram Sarai. Shem Eshes Nachal Milka. Bas Haran Avi Milka Avi Yiska. V'Am Reb Yitzchak. Yiska Zu Sarah. Yiska is Sarah. V'Lam Nikra Shma Yiska. Why is she called Yiska? Shesoicha the Ruach HaKodesh, she spoke with Ruach HaKodesh, V'hainu d'chsiv, Kol asher tamei alecha Sarah shema b'koila, or Davracha Yiska, Shakol Sachim b'yafya. The Gemara in Megillah says that she's one of the foremost beautiful women in history of the world. Everyone looked at her beauty. Okay, so therefore we know that Sarah was what? The child, which Sarah was the child of what? Of Haran, and Avram was 2 years older than Haran. Ukasiv, Vayipol Avram al Panav, Vayitzchak, when he had a child, when he found out he was having a child, Vayomer Beliboy, Halaben Meya Shana Yolid, Vim Sarah Babas Tishim Shana Teileit. So Avram was what? 10 years older than Sarah. These are givens, right? He was can a 100 years old father a child? Can a 90-year-old? So therefore, L'chaira, he was 10 years difference. So you see that what? Kama Koshis Avram Yisara, Esa Shanim, 10 years. The Koshis Me'avua, and how much older was Avram than what? Than Sarah's father Haran? Tata Shanim, 2 years. So Ishtakach, that ki older Haran, L'Sarah, B'tamne Olida. It must be that what? To do the math, 100, right? Minus 2. So it must be he gave birth when he was 8. Guys got it? Again, 10-year difference, 10 minus 2, it's 8. Mimai, Dilma Avram Zuta da Achuva having. Maybe Avram was the youngest of the child, and Haran could be much older. Why do you listen first? And we're just speaking Derech Chachma. Teda that in order of Derech Chachma, the Kachashalu Kra the Derech Chachma, the Chsiv Noach ben Chamesh Shanim. Noach was 500 years old. But Yolad Noach Hashem Escham Ves Yafes. He had these 2 children. Shem Gadol Mehem Shana. B'cham Gadol Meyafes Shana. But into Shem Gadol Meyafes Shanim. Going according to the order that Shem was 2 years older than Ma'at than Yafes. Ukasiv Noach ben Sheish Meya Shana. V'Mabel Hoyamayim Ha'aretz. He was 600 years old. So therefore he fathered the child at 100. The oldest child was 100 years old. Ukasiv Ela told Shem ben Meya Shana v'Yolad Asa Pachshad Shnasayim Achra Mabel. Ben Mashana Bar Meya v'Tartashin. What do you mean he was 100? He was 102, guys. 2 years after the Mabel, it was 102. Ella, what do you have to say? It wasn't 102. When it said Shem first, it did not mean that he was the oldest. It meant that he was the oldest in Chachma. Therefore, when you say that he was 100, it must mean he was 98, fellas. And he just is speaking in order of Chachma, so by Avram Avinu. So you have no araya to 8. Amrav Kahana, Amris L'Shmaitza, Kamed Rav Zvid Midadoy, V'imile Rav Zvid said, you bring from Ela told the Shemaim that Shem was the Derech Chachma. Masnisan lo Vanome Hacha Masnisan. We learn from this pasuk. Well, Shem Yulad Gamhu Avi Kol Bnei Aver Achi Yefes Hagadol. You see, Yefes was the Gadol Sheba Achim. Therefore, you know that it was Derech Chachma. Ela Minolan. So the bottom line is, guys, you don't know from Bathsheba, you don't know from Avram. Where do you know from? Ela Minolan. Where do you know? 8 years old Mehacha. Ubitzalel ben Uri. This week's parsha, right? Ubitzalel ben Uri ben Chur lemata Yehuda. Okay, so Bitzalel was the son of Uri, the son of Chur, Misheva Yehuda. It says Vatamas Azuva. Azuva died. She was the wife of Kalev. Vayikach Kalev es Ephrat. That was Miriam. He took her. Vatelele es Chur, and he had a son Chur. V'chi Ovid Bitzalel Mishkan bar Kamahave. When he made the Mishkan, bar Tles, he was 13 years old. Dichsiv ish mi malachtai asher hema oisim. So he had to be an ish. So he had to be 13. Vitanya Shana Rishayna, that Yisrael was in the Midbar, Asa Moshe Mishkan, Shniya, Heiki Mishkan, Visholach Meraglim. He went ahead and he set up the Mishkan, he sent out the Meraglim. So therefore, how is Bitzalel now? It's 14. He was 30 when he built it, and now it's the second year when he sent it out, so now Bitzalel is 14 years old. How much is Kalev when they sent out his Meraglim? Uksiv by Yeshua, Ben Arboim Shana Nochi B'Shalech Moshe Eved Hashem. I see. Kalev was one of the Meraglim, he was 40. 40 minus 14 is about 26. I have to be 85 years old now at this time, but we don't care. Kama have Arboyan at the time was right. Dal Arbisan, go ahead and set the 14 of Salel, Davi Salel, Pashlu Esem B'Sheish, got 26. So now you have Kalev was 26 years old when Salel was born. Dal Tarti Shneim Dil Tosa Ibure. You have to go ahead and deduct for the pregnancies of Chur and of Uri and Betzalel, those 3 pregnancies. So what do you have? Ashken the Kol Chad B'Chad B'Tam the Oilid. You have a good raya, guys. You have the exact same raya, and here you don't have a kasha. Good. Let's just finish the Gemara. Ben v'loi bas. It says a ben and not a bas. Tanya Reb Shimon. B'dinu shetei bas ru'yalias ke ben sorah morer. She really should be a ben sorah morer. Shakol mitzuyin etzla ba'avera. In other words, the ben sorah morer, guys, is we're worried he's going to go ahead and steal, and because he's an addict. If she's an addict, she has an easier way. She can go in to do Averis, right? El Gezeres HaKosav he ben v'loy bas. It's Gezeres HaKosav ben v'loy bas. If you bear with me, I'd like to just do this piece, guys. Take a look at it. I think it's fabulous. I remember this. Can you see this, guys? What do you see? What? Okay, there's one going across that's very, very short. That's hard to see. I have another one that's much easier to see. Okay, anyway, this piece, guys, was taken from the Merkevis HaMishnah. It's a Pirush on the Rambam. It's in Perik Gimel Nisuri Bia. A lot of the stuff I foreshadowed you with, so we can go through it quickly. So now, Ubidrushim, there should be a little strickle, Ubidrushim. Herachti lehepich b'schusa de David. I want to learn the hepich b'schusa de David. Guys, here's the problem, eye contact. Here's the problem. According to Rashi, let me ask you a question. You have a piece of fat in front of you, gesundte piece of fat, and you're starving. And you're mesupik. Is it chelev and it's asa, or it's shuman and it's kasha? So you gamble. You go ahead, you eat it. Lachamei v'esashana, come to Shemayim. They say, remember that day you were starving? He goes, yeah, of course I was starving. Remember that piece of that you had in front of you? He goes, of course. He goes, it was shuman. You go, ooh. Guess what? You're chayiv. If it's a suffix, you can't eat it. If it's a suffix, you can't eat it. Like Shitas Rashi, that Uriah, when he went to battle and gave a get to Bathsheba, Mahem ba'osu hayamim, she's a suffix ish, whether he come home or not. How in the world could David be with her? It's a bomb kasha. How could David be with her? Even, again, David good, so she wasn't an ish. But even a shemetz, it's not possible. How is it possible that David would have been over on that Issa? That's what this Mekevis HaMishnah is coming to answer, guys. This is what this Mekevis HaMishnah is coming to answer. So here it is. He writes, I want to go ahead and be mapik the schus David. Anoda sinemi David, because I come from David. Mitzad imi, my mother. Migeza from the mishpacha. The geza means like the branch. Sternzulach. So that was the name of the branch of David's family that she came from. That the Delfima Skonas Sanhedrin, Daf Samech Tes Agamara, the Sasa Barya, women are healthier and they can give birth earlier. Ubat Sheva Yolda B'Sheish, Ayin Sham, as we just did. Vayim Kliyaka, guys, this medrash I brought down to you. Shmuel Aleph Yud Zayin, Al Pasik Vayoretz David V'Yamud Al Plishtim. He stood after he killed Goliath. Vayikach Escharbo, he took his sword. Vayishlafo Mitaro, he took it out of the scabbard. Vayimuseo, and he killed him. Shehevi Medrash Chazal, Shehoisa Hacherev Seigeres Musugeres. He couldn't get the sword out. Be'ein Psoich L'Shlafa, he wasn't able to mitara to get it out. V'naroi shel Plishti Yoda Eich Liftach, and that nar knew how to get it out. V'nada lei David laseis lei Bas Yisrael. David made a neder to give a Bas Yisrael leisha kedei sheyifate acherev sheyiftach acherev v'yishlafot mitara that he give him the sword. V'oinish Hakadosh Baruch Hu David v'amalei b'nois Yisrael ata machalik chayecha ishtach nesunalei. You're going ahead and being. I'm going to give you a wife. He bat sheva rui le David. Ki anar noisei haitzino Uriah. Oh, yeah. The one who was carrying was Uriah. That's the pasuk says, like we just said today. This is Bathsheba bas Aliyam. Asher ata asisa oisa eishes Uriah leesnan kishepatach acherev. You know what that woman is? That's the woman that you gave to Uriah the day when you told him, I'll give you a woman because you opened up the scabbard. Ad kan divrei kliyakar. Medagdek shom loshin bas aliyam. He's medagdek loshin bas aliyam. Ulderchenu yeshleimat. The Gemara Shabbos, excuse me, the Gemara Bathsheba Yolda B'Sheish. That Bathsheba gave birth at 6.
Could you scroll it up a little bit? We're not seeing it.
Good, got it now. You're not seeing it?
Yeah.
The Nimsa, you see where my marker is good? Yeah, you see it? Yes or no? You don't see it.
You went all the way down to the bottom.
No, and that's not good then. You see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me. Uldarkenu Yeshlam. You got it right there at the top. The Bigamara Shebat Sheva Yolda B'Sheish V'Nimsa Haya Shloimoi Ben Zayim Shonim Kishenechnach Achitoifel. Good. So we know that he was 7 when Achitoifel killed himself. Shuv Choshev Trei Ibure. You have to go ahead and with these eight months, guys. Ibur de Shloma B'Shel Hayelet Hameis. Again, the baby that died. Harei Ches Shonim. So guys, what do you have now? You have 7 plus a year and a half. So that's 8 and a half. In other words, we're deducting the years of Achitophel's life. Hari Uriah Achiti Hoya Bilmulchama Bisman Maisa Shahaya. He was at war. Umikra Mole Shana Echad Ye Noki Lebesai. Ubehechrich Nisas Bat Sheva Luria. Meshech Shana Kaidam Muchama. He was away for a year, so she had to get married a year. So now you have 9 and a half. Right? You have 9 and a half years deducted from 33, guys. You got when you look in the psukim over there, Muchach Shenisas Bash Shonim Koidem Beishonim Koidem Maisa. It's even not that she get married a year before, but even 2 years before. Tichsiv Shmuel Beis Perik Yud Aleph Pasuk. Vayil Tshuvas Hashana Upirshu Hamafarshim. What does it mean Tshuvas Hashana? Shayimeshech Shana Acher Mulchemes Bnei Amoin. It was a year after the Mulchama with Bnei Amoin. Umulchemes Bnei Amoin Ksiv Vayishlach Es Yoav Veskol Atzava Hagiborim. David sent Yoav and all his strong people. V'hari Uriah Nimna B'Soif Shmuel Beis B'Chal Hagiborim Lezeh Ayin Sham. In other words, so we have Uriah win the army 2 years before. Ubehechach mi l'siv shana echad yenaki shenisis bat sheva l'Uriah ches shanim umechza hanal. So you have 8.5 guys as what? 7 for Shlomo being born. The pregnancies of the baby that was died and Shlomo 8.5. V'yoid beis shanim halolu. These other years the hainu yud shanim. 10 years and a month. We're deducting from and a half a year from Achitofel. Koidim chanichas Achitofel. V'nimtza b'shash shenisus bat sheva ha'Achitofel ben chaf beishanim. So when Bathsheba got married, Achitofel was 22 years umechza. He was 22. Right. That was the cheshbon. Dal minayu tes shanim v'yamechel Achitofel. Deduct. Achitofel couldn't have fathered a child until what? He was 9 years and a day. V'tes chadoshim ibur de Eliam, and the 9 months of Eliam, when Nimsa haya Eliam pachas mi ben Yud Gimel b'shas nesui Uriah. Nimsa that Uriah was less than 13 when Bathsheba got married. Umiyushiv digduk shel kliyakar dahainu dekamar haloi zois Bathsheba bas Eliam ratza loymar. Ratza loymar v'hoya avi Eliam adayin cotton b'shas nesue bitay. So she wasn't an Ashes Ish because he couldn't marry her off. V'hoya yachal lakacha v'shapa kol amed David chata eina ela toya. Anyone who says David made a mistake is making a mistake. The piti katana basmion oinasu. What a guys! What a bomb! What a dicka bomb! Unbelievable. This answer, Mamela, she wasn't a Suffolk Ashes Ish. She wasn't an Ashes Bechlal because Eliam was a cotton. He couldn't be Mekadish's daughter, a Kedushin Deraisa.
But he could have a baby.
But he could have a baby at 9 in a day. But this explains. So I think they brought the Gemara in over here. You know, they brought in the Gemara, but I want you to know it's such min shemayim. My office, obviously I retired. I have notes all over the place, flying all over the place. I started looking, and Ruthie said to me, "What are you looking for?" I said, "A needle in a haystack." Give it to me. Here's the needle. Here's the needle. Not even took me so long. Kaddish Baruch Hu wanted me to share this with you. Masak midvash.